once more again, warm welcome. And maybe one thing to start up, luxury might be working technical devices. Today we have on our panel on chairing the, please do come in, welcome. Chairing this panel, Astrid, my dear colleague from Lobster Experiences, a very refined, a very nice representation company of hotels in the luxury segment around the world, and myself from Luxury Hotel and Spa Management, specialized on the opening and the development of small hotels, again in the top-end league. And as our dear guest, we have Mr. Philipp Schmid coming from the Canton Valais in Switzerland. He is a co-founder of a small, refined, comestible brand, Mountain Fine Food, and he is the founder of a economical magazine focusing on the Canton of Valais with the title of Peak 45. We have Mr. Thomas Allemann, who is a member of the management team, so to say, of Hotellerie-Suisse. Hotellerie-Suisse is the hotel association of Switzerland, covering thousands of hotels, and probably the man on the pulse of today's questions.
Yes, and I would like to introduce Barbara to you. Barbara, normally it's ladies first, right? Barbara is, absolutely. Barbara is the business development manager of small luxury hotels of the world. And she is really responsible for finding this new and getting members for these new luxury properties, because corporations like SLH are also going through a great development, and Barbara is really a specialist in finding and talking to the people, and SLH is also a corporation helping the hotels to find their clients in the right way. How do we position? What do we want to be? I hope I said the right words. Okay, thank you. So we kick it off, huh?
Very well. So why are we here? We have noticed over the last couple of years that there's a lot happening. There's a lot changing, and we just noticed that luxury is not luxury. And we noticed that luxury 10 years ago is not luxury today. And it resulted ultimately that a lot of hotels, a lot of tour operators, and finally a lot of guests are looking for the right answers. And what we have done is we have set up this little stand here, this little lab, so to say, collecting ideas. And we started to feel only after two and a half days collecting all these little post-its, certain clusters of answers. We have come up, and you will see it, with an increased amount of intangibles rather than tangibles. And my first question would actually be to Mr. Thomas Allemann from the Swiss Hotel Association. Now, how do the hotels respond to that? Because I'm very sure that they notice this very much as well, but how do you measure intangibles, and how do they take this into the future?
Do you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It's a very complex question that you pose to me, because to give you an answer for that, on the one hand side, I should talk for 3 hours. On the other hand side, if we knew the answer, we were fit for the future. What I think is very interesting also when I see here the comments which have given on this wall, is, as you said, a lot of intangibles. And when you see the most mentioned word is time, time is almost the one of these topics that you can influence yourself, because you decide about what you do with your time. So how can the hotel, the hotelier, influence the time schedule of the guest? And I think you have to take all the needs of the guest individually. So you can't offer anymore a product which is the same for everybody. So you should know your guest before he arrives, And I think that is the luxury. And I had a very good example yesterday on a panel. I think it was Marc Nussbaum who told that they want to know their guest before they arrive, and they Google them on Facebook, and they had a guest where they knew that he was disappointed in a cafe in the town, that they didn't have cafe latte with milk, with soya milk. And when he arrived at the hotel, at the receptionist told the guest, I saw on your Facebook that you were disappointed in this restaurant or in this cafe. Huh? When he posted it.
I understand.
Yeah.
But the hotel was about 150 rooms. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I know. But I say this would be the ideal. There are different ways to come to this. Huh? So they offered him at the reception when he arrived a cafe latte with soya milk. That's luxury.
What I take from what you say is that the responsibility actually starts with oneself. So before asking the question to the hotelier, you suggest that you should ask yourself. Philipp, would you kind of agree on that?
Also zuerst einmal, ich muss mich entschuldigen, dass ich Deutsch spreche. Herr Aeberhard hat sich bereit erklärt zu übersetzen.
He apologizes for speaking German and he said that I gratefully would do the translation, so I shall.
Ich bin überzeugt davon, dass auch mein Englisch übersetzen müsste, also kann ich bei Deutsch bleiben.
Okay. So he was quite sure that he would need to translate his English, so it's rather stick to German.
Also der Punkt, und da bin ich voll der Überzeugung, der Mensch als solches weiß zum Teil auch nicht, was will.
He believes and he's convinced that sometimes the person himself doesn't know himself what he actually wants.
Ich meine, wenn ich nur hier sehe, sind ja einige Schilder, es wurde angetönt, Zeit, da kann man nichts machen, das ist eine persönliche Einstellung. Das zweite ist Wi-Fi Free Hotel. Und die meisten Handys, die ich kenne, die haben einen Knopf, kann man abstellen. Also kann ich das selber machen und man muss nicht vom Hotel erwarten, dass es ein Wi-Fi-free ist.
Hahaha. Slowly, we have to make small, well, basically what he says is that one thing that comes over and over again is time, but then also, for instance, a topic that has come up again and again is Wi-Fi free hotels. But at the same time, every hotel, every mobile device would have a button, power on and off. So just use it.
On. Can you hear me?
Take it close.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Better. Okay, fine. No, I think there's absolutely nothing I would want to say against it. It's quite the opposite. Even with like sort of brand affiliations, like we are.
Sorry, closer.
Even like with brand affiliations, global brand affiliations, like we are, such as small luxury world, it really is putting the customer at the heart of the experience. I think from a brand affiliation point of view, we really feel the tendency that people want to have that quality benchmark, which we represent. So in our case, it will be a quality benchmark globally for the product type luxury boutique hotel. And one of the reasons why people love sort of booking with us, we have very, very high repetitive bookings, so to speak, is because they know what they get. So you can absolutely differentiate on taste, but you should not on quality. Right, so, you know, again, in line with putting the guests at the heart of the experience, creating experience, looking at the core of the hotel, which is the actual hotel experience itself. I think it really much goes in line. I would not be able to comment on whether all of our 520 hotels in 80 countries will be able to Facebook each single client, but obviously it's a wonderful thought.
If I may, if you say quality benchmark. So far, that's just a title. Yeah. Fill it with content. We are hoteliers, we are guests. Fill it with content. What does that mean? What is the quality? What is the promise that ultimately you fulfill?
Absolutely. I think on the surface you might want to differentiate between product types. So we are looking at hotels in the capacity of their luxury boutiqueness, right? It comes with a certain size. It might even come with a particular focus on being a leisure destination, being like, you know, for true leisure travelers. It might also come with a particular sort of focus on even maybe style or interior, right? Whereas again, I'm a big fan of rather compromising on taste but not on quality, right? So taking this a little bit forward, and this is where it becomes interesting, what is luxury? If I'm talking to a hotelier in Malaysia or in Kazakhstan, he might define it differently than we would do in London or in Berlin. So, you know, there is no right or wrong answer to this. There is no one cookie cutter answer to this. So, for example, to fill your answer and to fill quality with life, I would say there is a very clear catalogue of criteria up there in terms of surface numbers, right? Even like room sizes, this is what it would start with in our case. But, you know, it is really up to the actual guest who will experience it and ideally put a positive remark on TripAdvisor to make up his own mind of what he thinks quality is.
Allow me to provoke you even further.
Please, absolutely. She'll keep the microphone, okay.
Let's talk about the future. What you do is you're describing the today, which is not of interest, with all due respect.
Yeah.
We want to know what's the future. What is the expectation of luxury in the future? Now, what is your answer to that?
Well, sort of our, oh Jesus, that's
A
loud.
new world.
Okay, so is everyone awake? Okay. So obviously, so we as a brand affiliation with global reach for luxury boutique hotels, right? Would clearly look at tendencies and lots of surveys and studies, obviously, and would have a very, very strong bond with our loyalty club members. And I think rather than defining from our point of view what luxury has to be or will be, or sort of how it will look like in the next sort of 5 to 10 years, of course, I would be perfectly able to give you a vision, but I think it's much more important to work with what you have, because this
No, please talk about the vision. We don't need the have. Talk about the vision. We'd love to have your
absolutely,
your
and I'm totally with you, but please do allow me to sort of take one step back, because to talk about the vision has actually to do with a very basic homework, and this is you got to get the basics right. So if you you have no idea who your clients are, if you don't have any loyalty program, if you don't know how to incentivize people, if you do not even know how they basically sort of apply, how target groups apply to the products we offer and vice versa, you know, there is no much to talk about vision, because you won't get it right. So what we see all the time is that we will obviously, by the nature of our business model, we will focus on independently run and managed hotels. They are either hotels which are very, very passionately run with a slight passionately run with a slight tendency of rather having the inverted view rather than the external view. Then you've got the other hotels who are very much on a constant search for who are the new target groups, redefined change of travel patterns, booking patterns, and so on and so forth. So what we do is actually we note everything, we observe everything, and it's not that we are here to define a vision, but it's much more that we then take everything on board and start working with it. For example, just looking at luxury and the interesting link to loyalty, right? So our loyalty program is consisting of approximately 400,000 high net worth around the globe, right? So are they just numbers? Well, this is what we don't want. So hence we've put in place substantial programs where basically SLH members would go out and visit and sort of speak and invite and a constant dialogue with obviously sort of loyalty members who would have different needs. And the reason why I'm bringing this up here is that we find, and this is basically with the feedback we've received, that loyalty is linked to credibility, is linked to a understanding of what we offer, and it's linked to an understanding from us to the client of what he wants. So our vision would be that we will most certainly want to go forward in the next 5 to 10 years and really want to focus on this very bespoke, boutique character of a hotel product type. You know, really making a point and being almost like the opposite to any hotel chain offer which is out there, because we truly believe that with a smaller independent hotel, there's much greater space and range to make things more tailor-made and to really put the guest differently at the heart of the experience.
Yep, I agree here with Barbara, and I'm seeing this from another view because I'm the hotel and I'm the one selling it to the travel agents. We're at ITB here. It is at the end of the day a B2B travel show, and I don't want to forget the trade, and it's something that puzzles me a lot. Is the travel agency, and we hear that all the time, internet is dangerous and we're going to lose the clients, are we going to disappear, are we going to lose our job? And I'm personally a strong believer, because I work with clients here, people like you, that luxury will not be, yes, internet is good to get a taste, to get information, but I still, in Germany at least, every market is different. I believe in the travel agency. I would not buy a Bentley on the internet or a Rolls Royce. I don't know what about you, but if we're talking about the high end, the niche, the emotions, and this is what Barbara said. If the agent doesn't know his client, and this is what I see so often, they don't know much about their people. They don't know what, and everybody has another intention. Everybody has another, we have seen there's 10 questions, 10 different answers here. We need to know our client, all of us, and everybody will be different. And so I would like to ask you, what do you think about the travel agency of the future and the luxury market? I'm not talking about the medium or the mass. Do you think they have a chance?
To tell you the truth, I can't say anything about the travel agent. But I would mention another topic. All we said now about you have to know your client, you have to walk in the shoes of your clients. Is this only a topic for the luxury accommodation? Isn't this a topic for all of us in the hospitality industry?
Let's put it that way. I think here comes the time back. I mean, we have to take, knowing a product, knowing a client takes time. It goes more deeper. I just think that somebody booking a hotel, a trip for 300 euros, yes, you have some mechanism that you know he buys maybe Zalando shoes or he has certain mechanism. Yes, that's market research. But I just think that it's much more emotional with the luxury. It takes much more time. I mean, these agencies sit hours to work on 10 different agendas before they book something. I think it's a completely different mentality.
I think we have somebody like to comment.
I think, and this is my opinion, that the common thread that connects us all, whether I'm from Canada or you're from Germany, the common thread as humans is the need to express individuality. And I think true luxury is on a spectrum how much you can express that individuality. So with luxury, there's the aspirational Starbucks cup holder luxury, who's aspirational, and then there's the exclusive luxury. And on that spectrum, the difference between them is just how much with the currency, which is money, do they get to express that? To your customer, the boutique hotels, it's luxury in the sense that they have a story, because that is another form of individuality. Story is individuality, and that is what makes them luxury. To the person you were talking, I think you said Margot was the person who mentioned it, the customer with the milk. On the spectrum of luxury, their expression of individuality, i.e. luxury, is to be able to say, I prefer soy milk over whatever other milk there is. So I think luxury is something that we can all express, and it really comes down to just individuality and wanting to say that. It's why Facebook exists, and it's why all these mediums that allow us to do that, are successful.
So would you be saying in terms that the luxury trade ultimately would define itself by its capacity of capturing this expression and putting it into fulfilling wishes?
I call it story on a hotel level or on an individual level, because every person walking through the door comes in with a story. I think from a luxury hotel's point of view, it's the ability to maybe not through Facebook or for, like you said, for every single guest, but the ability to understand their story and what it is they're coming to that hotel with, which again is an expression of individuality and expectation. And to your point around, is there going to be a home for luxury tour agents or travel agents? Absolutely, because the customer who wants to say, I want a custom trip where I can go to Peru and go to Ethiopia and go to a local hut to make Ethiopian coffee in Lalibela. Can you arrange that for me? That's an expression of individuality, because that's a very unique experience that money can buy. And who will arrange that? The luxury tour operator. There will always be a home for that. So that's my belief. Sorry, were you?
Okay, my name is Roland, I'm from Switzerland. The difference is I worked 30 years in a luxury market in North America. 1990, where there was no Facebook, no technology, I worked for Four Seasons Hotel in Toronto as an assistant FP. Okay. And what we did there, and what Isidore Sharp did right at that time, he did the same thing with what you guys talking about Facebook or not. I think, Thomas, you're right, but the coffee should be served without mentioning to any guest where the resources are coming. Every morning at Four Seasons, we had a half-an-hour meeting, 7 o'clock in the morning, GM, the key people, and we go through each individual who is going to check in. And then when they can check in, we put our resources together without Facebook at that time, and we make things happening different and a different level. And we took time. Then I opened a Peninsula Hotel in Beverly Hills. And at the Peninsula, we had anything you can imagine, because Cher was there. This guy checks in, that one. We did not worry about Facebook or technology or whatever. We had and spent every time deep inserts. What does Elton John like? Oh, he likes the shopping list. Let's put it in. He walks in and says, wow, look at that. Or whoever it is. There's so much public information in our resources that we don't have to disclose where it comes from. It just puts the service down to say, oh, I found you in Facebook or wherever you are. And what we did 20, 30 years ago hasn't changed today. It's the same thing. Yes, not just the luxury market. Today, any market is important to make the research, to make it special for a hotel.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you very much for that, and indeed. Sorry, may I just quickly? And yet, we fully agree it is about matching the individual needs, the individual, I mean, we call that profiling. Yes. Profiling your guest and make it happen. Yeah. And we also agree that this has gone through a sort of a democratization process, in the sense of it's gone through masses now. It's everybody that would like to have that. Yet, let's try to refocus on the topic today, and let's look into the future. What's new on the block? What you're saying is what you've done 20 years ago is still up today. Fully agreed. What's new?
I think just quick. The new thing with the technology we have, we should create within a luxury hotel in the company a position where we say, this person makes 4 hours research for all that. Just a position like a resident manager, food and beverage director. You create a position to research the media and what's going on. Facebook is just part of it, the whole thing. When the people check in, when the reservations come in, it has to be one unique thing who is going to blow you away. You will come back because nobody else has done it. But it's going to be done within the company. So why spending a little labor cost on a new position created just for that? We didn't do that 20, 30 years ago because it wasn't common. There was a resident manager, food and beverage, and this. So why not creating somebody in there who is going to do this research and develop your own software on it?
Thank you. Much appreciated.
It's done now.
It's done now.
Vielleicht dazu kurz etwas, und zwar vielleicht ein bisschen praxisbezogen oder pragmatisch einfach. Stichwort Individualität.
Individualism as a keyword.
Und Stichwort auch Authentizität.
And authenticity.
Mein Rezept als Geschäftsmann ist eigentlich folgender.
My recipe as a business person is?
Ich muss bei jedem Angebot der erste Kunde sein.
With every offer, I need to be my first client.
Und dann bin ich authentisch mit dem Verkaufen.
And then I'm authentic with my sales.
Und ich glaube auch in der Hotellerie, wenn ich mich hinterfrage, was ist für mich der perfekte Luxusurlaub, würde ich persönlich mein Hotel so gestalten, dass ich der erste Gast wäre. Und ich bin überzeugt davon, dass es unter den Abermillionen von Gästen auch solche gibt, die genau meinen Bedürfnissen entsprechen und die genau das suchen.
Would you like me to translate all that? Okay, very well. So basically what he said is if I was to create my luxury hotel, I would take that very same approach as if I was my first client. And he is convinced that there's, out of the millions and millions of customers and clients out there, there are some that think alike. And it's about capturing these.
Und dann noch der perfekte Ferientag.
And the perfect holiday day.
Schwitzen den ganzen Tag, im Dreck sich wälzen und am Abend dann wirklich gemütlich und guter Wein.
Sweat the whole day and turning in mud and in the evening a nice fine wine.
I think we have a different perception of luxury.
No, to the contrary. It's individualism, isn't it?
That's not true, because this will be the challenge, as we say now. It's the individualization of the needs. So the luxury is to offer him this and to offer me something different, please.
Okay, I know, I understand. I would be like to be a little bit provocative. What do you think, because we're actually talking about the future of luxury accommodation, and we work with hotels, meanwhile, that don't have any more stars. They're not a 5, they're not a 4, they're not a 3, they're not a 2-star. They are special, they are unique, they have created their own star, their star themselves. They don't need it because they don't have certain qualifications like an elevator or so, but you go 10 steps to get there, but they're in the middle of nowhere or even in the city. What do you think? Is the star, are the stars, is that going to be the future defining luxury accommodation? Do you have to be a 5-star to get into the heart of the client?
Mean question.
I have to defend the stars as we're responsible for the classification in Switzerland, but it is true, and it will be a big challenge for us to take into account the new concepts of hotels, because we are still very strong hardware driven. And we have already some possibilities to take some hotels like hideaways which do not have elevators, to give an exception for this if all the rest is assumed as being really a luxury hotel. But it goes until a certain point, and then we have to say no, it's no more a hotel in a typical style. And we are often asked this question: do we need the classification in the future, yes or not? And I say, as long as booking and review sites have a classification, a categorization starting from low budget until high luxury, high-end hotels, it's better to have an independent, objective control of what is really in it, what the classification, categorization, or whatever promises, because it gives a certain information to the guests. If it's only, and a lot of people say, the future is in the reviews. It's only if somebody is satisfied, is happy with the hotel, but it's not what he can expect when he goes to the hotel. So in the future it will be needed both, but still the classification.
Okay, so maybe Switzerland will have another system than Africa.
Does it work? Yeah. May I say, my name is Barbara Kimmig. I have a hotel in the south of France in Nice. I'm coming from leading hotels business since years. I was used to work for very glamorous 5-star hotels in Europe. I started with my own small hotel for private reason. I didn't want to travel anymore. I sold my apartment. I started with a small hotel in the old town of Nice. And I tell you, I was really surprised, because once I've done, so it was a very personalized hotel inspired of chambre d'hôte, you know, with good service, personalized, original. I was at the reception doing a checking out, and I've seen a Centurion card. Oops. Centurion card, without any limit. And I was looking at the client, coming from New York, and I said, oh, luxurious business is changing. This was 10 years before. I realized that a guest today who has a lot of money decides when he spends it, where he spends it, for what he spends it. It's changing a lot. And I think, no, we don't need the stars in the future if you have a very personalized product, because it means authenticity, it means having an experience, having a real kindness with the person, not welcome at the international, real kindness, real service. Quality of service means I have it when I need it, and then I don't want to wait for half an hour for my room service. This is new.
Do you have a classification?
Yes, because I started, I thought I needed, but with now the difference, I would say no, I wouldn't need it. A good marketing and a good product, well, first a good product and then a good marketing, I would say no, you don't need it.
I think I just would like to add, in addition to what you've just, both of you just said, obviously as a brand affiliation, we are very often asked, oh, will you be able to replace the classification? And the simple answer would be, I don't think so to a certain degree. The answer is no, because a classification would imply a very, very strict catalogue of criteria you want or need to see to classify accordingly. But the feedback we have received throughout the years is that sort of lots of hotels who are classified and who are members with us, they would also not really see how the actual classification would pay tribute to the interaction of hardware and software. So yes, hardware, it's absolutely classified, it's clear, but the combination of hardware and software, the consistency across the product might not necessarily be 100% reflect through a classification. And sometimes this is where we come in, but then again, you know, I think with a brand affiliation, it's all about choice, and this is what you say, I decide, and when I want, and if I want, and how I want, and that's it. And so the reason why I can do this, because there are platforms out there who give me choice, and I think choice equally to time is one of the it would be one of the big terms to mention in the whole spectrum of what is luxury today. So even as a brand affiliation, we don't have an answer to classification, yes or no. We very much appreciate any institution like this. However, we also observe that there might be changing times.
Right. I just wanted to say we have only a couple of minutes left, so that we know we need to wrap up. Yeah? Okay.
Kurz zur Klassifikation oder zu den Sternen.
Ja.
Ich war in einem Hotel 4S und das war absolut top. Und dann habe ich die Inhaberin gefragt, warum sie sich nicht 5 klassifizieren lasse. Dann hat sie gesagt, weil ich dann die falschen Gäste hätte.
He said he was in a hotel classified as 4 stars S. And he asked the owner why she would not go for 5 stars. And the answer was, because I would get the wrong guest.
May I just give one example from Germany, which is very interesting, and it can be adapted for all categories. I suggest that all of you know Price Hotel in Germany. And Marc Nussbaum was at the beginning absolutely against classification. He said, my hotel is so well positioned, I do not need classification because I have other values. After 1 year, he had very bad scores on the review sites, and he asked himself, why have I so bad comments on the review sites? And said, I'm disappointed they didn't have this, they didn't have that. And then he realized that people thought, because it's a really good product with a modern design and a good homepage, they thought it's around a 4-star hotel. So they expected the services, and I do not talk about the hardware, services of a 4-star hotel. And then he decided to classify there where he positioned himself as 2-star superior hotel. After a half year, the scores went up dramatically. He won all the awards of Holiday Check, of TripAdvisor, and so on, because people said, wow, I didn't expect what they offer as services. We talk about software, not hardware. Services in a 2-star superior hotel.
I'm presently opening my 9th hotel in my life. And what I kind of, as a resume, take out of some of what we mentioned is the guest doesn't exist anymore. And you will have to start to make individual profiles for every single one. And as a hotelier, I see that this is one of the big challenges, because how do you meet with all these zillions and zillions of expectations? And the question is, how do you capture the information? How do you transform it? And we've done some pretty crazy stuff in the past. I think Astrid can sing a song on it. But ultimately, what are we here for? The answer is anything, anytime, anywhere. And if we don't get that right, I guess we have no raison d'être in the luxury trade. That's one thing. What I have also noticed is that at this moment, there is a coexistence on hard facts, which are defined through classification systems, through consortia. But then on the other side, you have a whole basket, a whole bunch of soft criteria which are measured by the new social networks, your TripAdvisor, your holiday checks of this world. And the question is, how do you maneuver through that? And the question is, what does that mean into the future? And bottom line is, it boils down to the personality. It boils down to the way how you manage to give a soul to a hotel. And that, with all the stars in the world, with all the TripAdvisors in the world, you can't do, because it comes down to your very own heart. And ultimately, I think we should never, ever, ever, ever forget that hotel trade is people's trade. So it's a person to person. And if one of the people that mentioned here robotics, I find that most amusing, and I'm sure that the housekeeping ladies are delighted if somebody would do the job for them. But yet, as a guest, I'd like to see somebody in the hallways from room to room. Are we overshooting?
Are we? I'm a quick talker.
Sure.
I completely agree with what you're saying, and I think there's, at the end of the day, we talk about all these different types of guests, but it's that saying of build it and they will come. Replace the word build with story. Have a story and they will come. I think the addition to that is, how is the story being shared? And that gets into, and disclosure that that's the industry I'm in, but I think it's, how is the story being shared of each individual hotel? And it's not anymore through, just reviews through press. It's now through video. It's really using social media, but in a targeted way. I think that's where the evolution is. But yes, authenticity, individuality, story. I think that is, the combination of that is luxury.
Okay, we're done. We have to stop.
Okay.
Yes.
Would love to continue. Sincerely thank you for showing up so numerous.
Thank you very much,
and
everybody.
if there's anything you'd like to share with us, there are still sticky posters, feel free. We're here for you to answer, to have a chat on individual one-on-one basis. Otherwise, have a wonderful trade fair, wonderful ITB, and thank you ever so much for having been with us.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Ciao. Bye-bye.